Welcome in to November's speed reviews. This is a video I do every single month to talk about all of the stuff that I tested in the prior month. I cannot believe it's already December. I have my little tree up and I'm definitely ready for the holidays. So on today's docket for last month, I tested, I want to say 42 different items. I do show you guys cutaways of me applying some of my favorite products. This is a purchase or pass videos where I do tell you guys whether I think they're a purchase, a pass. I do start out from like how I apply these products to my face so you guys can see like as I'm going along. So the very first item is a primer type product. This is from Merit. This is the Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. I bought this because I did a full face of Merit. I want to say I tested every single thing from their line. What this has that's beneficial to you is that it has hyaluronic acid, which is supposed to like target hydration and moisture all day. Niacinamide, which is supposed to visibly brighten your skin. There is the cacao seed extract, I think I'm saying that right, which is a caffeine-rich antioxidant. This is also a clean beauty product. So it's more like a skincare product for me, and it's a super liquidy texture. It's a bi-phase product. You're supposed to shake the product up. I think of this personally as more like a serum as opposed to a primer. I think it's fine. I think it's liquidy. I think it has skincare benefits. I think there are good ingredients in it. I personally think for me, it's a little bit too thin and watery of a formula. When I pump it, it kind of gets all over. Not my favorite kind of hydrating product, and definitely not a step I like to take before I'm applying my foundation. I really do prefer this as like a skincare step if I'm going to use something this watery. I would say this is probably a product best for people with dry skin. I personally have oily skin, so I find that if I use this under a dewy foundation, it's 10 times dewier. It's good for a nice like glowy skin. It definitely gives a gloss to the skin. I think for me personally though, not something I like wearing under foundation. I'm going to personally move this downstairs to my skincare drawer and use it as a skincare step. Maybe like at night, doesn't matter really. I think when you use niacinamide or hyaluronic acid, I use those both day and night. Just not something I would recommend for people with oily skin. But if you have really dry skin and you maybe wanted to use a more full coverage mattifying foundation, this is good, I think, underneath it. The next products I go into are brow products. So the first one that I have is the Brow Stylist Definer from L'Oreal. This is the Ultra Fine Tip Shaping Pencil. This particular one is in the shade Blonde. This is a terrible brow product. I have been on the hunt for affordable, non-expensive brow products that have a really good shade and they have a really good formula so that I don't have to spend $25 on my favorite waterproof brow pencil, which is the Benefit Precisely My Brow. The only one that I have found that comes close is the Sephora one, and that is also a waterproof, retractable, ultra fine. This is terrible. It's way too creamy. It breaks every single time I use it. It broke the first time I tried it. It broke the second. It broke the third. Even when I'm applying it like on camera, it totally snapped off. It's too creamy and it deposits way too much pigment like unevenly. So it kind of looks like, you know, where I laid it heavier on my brows, like you can see it's noticeable. Terrible brow product. Shade is really good, but you can totally, that's just a pass. Like I'll use it up if I can because it doesn't end up keep breaking on me, but that is not a recommendation. The next one that I have is the Merit 1980 Brow. This is a brow pomade that's supposed to give you the fluffy 1980s brows. I think it's okay. I don't think that if you're looking for a brow pomade that comes on an applicator like this, you're looking for something with such a soft hold. And I think the 1980 Brow is more like in line with indicating that you're saying this is a really strong hold that just makes your brows super fluffy. The hold on this is very, very light. In fact, it doesn't even stay very long. It's just a soft hold is how I refer to it. And this one is in the shade Blonde as well. It's not ultra pigmented, even though, you know, it's shaded, but it doesn't have like a whole ton of pigment to it. So if you're looking for this to just lightly fill in your brows, it's okay. If you're looking for something that fills it in and that's all you use is like a one and done step, plus you're looking for some super strong hold, this is not the product for you. I don't typically use brow pomades. I have said that many times, but because I was testing a full face of Merit, I picked this up. This one's just a pass for me personally, but also for those of you who are looking for a strong hold. I have been on a journey to retest all of my foundations. So I only tested one new release this month, which is from Revlon. It's the Illuminance Serum Tint. This has SPF of 15. Mine is in the shade 113. I love the Illuminance line. This serum tint, like the Illuminance foundation, is highly susceptible to the products that you use underneath it. If I don't put any kind of primer primer on whatsoever. This ends up being kind of like a satin finish on me. And then when I do, like today, I use the Great Skin underneath it, then it becomes more of this like glowy, serumy product. It's a light to medium. It's a buildable formula. I personally think it's beautiful. I think because it's lightweight is the reason that it's susceptible to the products that you put underneath it, but also it looks beautiful on the skin because it's super lightweight. So I personally love the Illuminance line. I think the foundation is also, like I said, very similar to this in that it's susceptible to the stuff that you put underneath it, but it's also gorgeous. So I'm a huge fan of this. I think if you're looking for something lightweight, even like the foundation, these are both huge recommendations from me. I always talk about not including any eyeshadow palettes that I tried in the prior month because I do those in a ranking video, which I just did. I always talk about single shadows though, or things that are duos, for example, or trios, things that aren't necessarily palettes. I think of palettes as quads and above. That's how I tend to look at it. So what I have today are 4 different eye products. I want to start off with the one that I'm wearing today, which I absolutely love. This is a duo from Wander Beauty. It's the Double Date Eyeshadow Duo. There's 1 powder and there's 1 cream. It's Smitten and Swoon is the color story. So the cream is the kind of more sheeny product at the bottom. And then the one at the top is a powder shimmer. This is a miraculously underrated formula. I never hear anyone talking about this. It glides on with your finger perfectly, super beautiful, layered on top of each other. You could use the cream in the crease or above and then just put the shimmer on the lid by itself. Wander Beauty, I believe, personally has an extremely underrated eye product formula. Actually, they're just underrated in like every category. Blushes are the same, they're highlighters, they're like cream sticks. Their cream products are freaking amazing, completely underrated. If you guys are looking for a duo that's super travel friendly, even has a little mirror in here, this is one to check out. Plus, this is such a beautiful neutrally color story here. Highly recommend this. The next one that I have, one Allure Best of Beauty. This is a duo from Rose Inc. This is one of the eyeshadow duos in Satin Copper and Copper Shimmer. So one of these again is a cream and one is a powder, just like Wander Beauty. The cream is the more sheeny base and the powder is the shimmer. This is different than the Wander Beauty one in that the Wander Beauty one has a really nice base pigment to the shimmer. Most of their shimmers do. This particular shimmer is more like a high impact glitter, if that makes sense. It doesn't have a huge strong base to it. I really like this formula and think that it's beginner friendly because this cream is like a cream to powder. So it's super easy to work with. You just, you can just swipe it on with your finger. You don't need a brush, you don't need any extra tools. But what I will say about Rose Inc products is they tend to dry out really fast. Their cream bronzer dried out really fast on me. This cream shadow has dried out pretty quickly. I like them all. Just note, I think they tend to dry out quickly. So kind of something I would recommend using quickly. The next one that I have is from Mob Beauty. This is one of their sparkle balms. This one is the shade M130. I purchased this with the intent of using it as a highlighter because it's listed as like a suspended sparkle that can be used on the eyes, on the cheeks, basically anywhere you want to. This is safe to use. I didn't like it as a highlighter because it's a little bit of a grittier formula, but I love it as a single on the eyes. I wore this just the other day, not a super strong base, and then it has really reflective sparkles throughout. They're like this bright champagne, very icy color. It's very, very beautiful, very easy formula to work with. It has a little bit more grip to it than say like a cream to powder formula. It has a tiny bit of tack to it, just a little bit, but it ends up drying down. Still such a great one and done. Highly recommend that it is a purchase from me if you're into Mob Beauty or just checking out single shadows in general. Now let's move to a liquid shadow that's the more affordable category. This is one of the liquid shadows from e.l.f. I have mine in the shade Moon. I think the writing is so small you can barely see it on here. It's called the Liquid Metallic Shadow. Not a huge ton of products, but it's not very expensive either. I absolutely love the shaded Moon. It's like a peachy pinky champagne-y color. It's highly reflective, nice and metallic, easy formula to work with. It's also very thin on the eyes. I think they did a really good job formulating these. I think these are a purchase if you're into liquid shadows. Plus I don't think you can go wrong like with the price. What I will say about this though is that it's not a super long lasting formula. Some of my liquids that are metallics like this, they stay all day and they stay super vibrant. The vibrancy on these tends to fade. Like by the end of my 8 hours, like wearing my makeup or my eyeshadow, this looks a lot more dull. So just want to prepare you for that, even though I do really like the formula. Moving on into concealers, because that's just how I applied everything today. In case I made a mess with my eye products, I put concealer on after. So the first one is the concealer from Kulfi. It's called the Main Match Concealer, and I have mine in the shade Ice Ice Berry. This is beautiful in just most simple, straightforward way. It's medium coverage, it's a super lightweight formula, it doesn't settle into my fine lines, and it doesn't crease, and it has good lasting power. I love this concealer, highly, highly recommend this concealer. Moving on to one that I have tried before, this is the Kosas Revealer Concealer, I wanna say is what it's called. Super Creamy Brightening Concealer. This one is in the shade 2.5C. I've used this in the past. I bought it when it was brand new to the market. I ended up decluttering it because I thought the shade was way too yellow on me, but I know this has had a ton of hype. So I repurchased it because of all that hype. Tried to get a better shade. So I don't know if I did. 2.5C seemed fine when I first put it on, but as I've been testing it, it still seems really yellow to me. And I noticed this isn't like the creamiest concealer. It will settle like just a tiny bit into my fine lines under my eyes. I don't think it looks dry. I just don't think it's a revolutionary concealer the way I feel reviews give it. And I don't even think it's that medium coverage. I think it's more on the light side. And because I know it settles into my fine lines like just a little bit, I wouldn't want to layer this up to get medium coverage. I personally don't see what everyone else loves about this concealer. There are so many other concealers on the market. This one doesn't get the hype from me, but I think it gets from everybody else. The next one is the L'Oreal True Match. It's called Eye Cream in a Concealer. This is a really runny, watery formula, so it's nice under the under eyes and it feels hydrating. It just kind of feels like it separates. It doesn't like cohesively lay on the skin. It kind of looks like it's pilling up where you put it down. And this is in the light shade, which is way too dark. All it really said on the box was light, so that's why I picked it up. This has 0.5% pure hyaluronic acid, which is nice. It's a nice hydrating concealer. I just think it just separates under the under eyes, doesn't give me a lot of coverage, just not really what I'm looking for, so I think it's a pass. The final concealer is the one from Rose Inc. What is this called? I don't know, just their concealer, I guess? Yeah, that's all it's called. This is in the shade LX010. I wanted to try this so badly because I've heard of this working for a ton of people. This tends to be like really gray leaning, so it's very, very cool toned, which is super nice for certain cool toned fair skin people. But aside from the shade, you guys, this is a pasty ass formula. It is thick, it sinks into my fine lines, it creases horribly, it feels hydrating going on, but it dries out under my under eyes throughout the day. I think it is a terrible concealer. It just absolutely was one of the worst that I've tested lately. So I think that's a huge pass for me personally. All right, moving on into setting powders. I have 3 here. 2 are setting powders, one's a powder foundation. So the first one is the Prisme or Prism Libre from Givenchy. This one is the colored one in Satin Blanc, so it's in 2. I think the lightest one is the pink one, but I wanted to get one that had a little bit of color to it. This is actually a beautiful powder. I would consider it though more of a finishing powder or a setting powder for people with dry skin. It's a super finely milled formula. A little bit of this product goes a really long way. I do think it's very beautiful on the skin, but for me, because I'm oily, it doesn't overly set me for an extremely long time. My oils will peek through. I prefer something, especially like in the summertime, that is a little bit of a mattifying formula. So if you wanted to use this in drier months, gorgeous. If you have dry skin, also gorgeous. If you're looking to set your face down for a really long period of time with oily skin, not the one I would reach for. But I definitely recommend this if you're looking for a super finely milled powder, or you find that powders tend to look too dry on you because you have very dry skin. This is one to check out. The next one that I have is the Ultimate Setting Powder from One Size. This one is the Ultra Pink version. I picked this up because I've been dying to try a pink powder, and I didn't want to get the pink powder from Givenchy, so I picked this one up instead. I think this one is a lot better for really setting down your makeup. I think One Size has a lot of products that are like geared towards more oily skin people and that are super mattifying. The pink isn't too pink. It looks really good on fair skin. This is a more blurring powder than the one from Givenchy. I think this one is more airbrushing and definitely more suited to people with oily skin. Also highly recommend this powder. Another one that I repurchased and I'm trying again is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in a powder. This one is in the shade 130 True Beige. Repurchased this because the way that I use powder foundations now is to set my whole face, because I find they do such a good job mattifying, but like locking down the foundation so that it doesn't slip around when I sweat here in Florida, or keeps my oils more at bay. I did not love this as foundation all by itself. I'm not into powder foundations. I would prefer to wear a liquid. So I decluttered this a long time ago because I had really dry skin at the time. I shouldn't say a long time ago, but I had dry skin at the time when I purchased this, because when it came out, I bought it as a brand new release. Not good as a powder foundation, I think, for people with dry skin. Might be good as a standalone product for people with oily skin, because I think it's a full matte coverage and it's waterproof. I use this as a setting powder now. I love it as a setting powder. Moving on to bronzers. I have 3 bronzers. The first one is the Clay Bronzer from Mob Beauty in the shade M80. All of these are refillable, not necessarily if you like love this packaging, but also it's easily recyclable because this is all a cardboard packaging. I think it's a beautiful product. I think it is more red leaning, which is something that I'm gravitating towards these days. Clay formula, and because it's clay, it's like a cream to powder. Super beginner friendly formula. Fantastically easy, fantastically beautiful on the skin and the forehead. Highly, highly recommend that. I went to splurge on some drugstore items recently, so I picked up the Color Icon bronzer from Wet n Wild. This one is in the shade Ticket to Brazil. I love a lot of Wet n Wild products. They're blushes, they're highlighters that are in these Color Icons, same style packaging, but this bronzer is no good. It's a little bit chalky, it's a little bit dry, it's very, very light, but it's like orange leaning light. So it's a very light orange. I think it's smooth once it gets to the skin, but I think it looks kind of like chalky going on. And color wise, I'm just not into that like really pale orange. So, I mean, if you guys are, it's decent, you know, if you're looking for something super affordable, but I also think they make super affordable products that are just better than this one. So as far as the Color Icons from Wet n Wild go, this is not a recommendation from me. Next, from LA Girl, this is a new release from their Euphoria collection. This is their Lustrous bronzer. This is just called the Glow and Glamour bronzer. It only came in this one compact, and as you can see, it comes with 2 different shades. Because it came from a collection, the Euphoria collection, I like the fact that it's 2-toned in here, so that they weren't limiting the shade of bronzer that they could offer in the collection to one skin tone. I use the left side of this, and it works perfectly for me. I like this one. This is actually a really soft, very creamy formula, not overly powdery. It's kind of a product I wouldn't tell you to run out and buy, but because I bought the whole collection, just to test some more stuff from LA Girl, I think the bronzer was probably my favorite from the collection, so that helps you. So I went into highlighters next. So the first one that I have is a loose powder from L'Oreal. This is the True Match Lumi Shimmerista, and I have mine in the shade Moonlight. I think this is a really smooth formula. Like, it is so soft. Actually, one of the thinnest powders, like loose powders that I've ever tried before. This particular shade Shifts, like blue. I thought it would be fun, but it's just not something that I want to reach for. I just didn't love the way that the shade looked on me, but I would definitely be interested in testing out the other shade that they have. They do sell these on Amazon. You can't get these on the L'Oreal's website or anything like that, but they do have one other shade that would be a really nice match for me, something that I might be interested in testing out. I actually think loose powder highlighters are like special, extremely beautiful formula, just not a shade for me. So if you wanted to check those out because you were interested, I would say like get the other shade if you didn't want a shifty one. So for the first highlighter is a really affordable one. It's the Super Highlight Highlighter from Relove by Makeup Revolution. This one is in the shade Rose. I just now realized this was in the shade Rose. This is not like an overly rosy shade. It's almost like a goldy peach, but I love the formula. I just ended up picking this up when I picked up the Wet n Wild bronzer and a couple of other things. I want to say this is now my favorite product from Relove. I don't know why I didn't pick this up when I did a full face, but this is beautiful. It's like super bouncy, super soft formula. I also really love this shade, but again, I think it's kind of like a peach shade. This was a super flattering shade on my skin tone. I highly recommend this. I think that it is a fantastic formula that rivals some of my high-end ones and super affordable. So that's a huge recommendation from me. The next one that I have is from Wet n Wild. This is one of their Mega Glow highlighting powders. This one is in Precious Petals. So this is not a new formula to me. I just happened to grab this because it was a different shade. I want to say I have Blossom Glow, which is like the more pinky one that is pretty popular. But this one I prefer so much more than Blossom Glow. It's again this peachy champagne color that I feel like is just super flattering on me. Both the Relove one and the Wet n Wild one are like similar colors. I think this is a smoother formula though. It's also a little bit more powdery as well. I think the Relove one has like a little bit of a creamier, bouncier texture. I don't know if you guys have tried these Mega Glow ones. I mean, they've been around a while. They've got their hype. I just wanted to test an extra shade, and I think this shade is beautiful, and now the one I prefer more than Blossom Glow. All right, moving on, I have one cream from Merit. This is one of their Day Glow highlighting balms. This one is in the shade Citrine. I want to say that this is one of 3 shades and one of the deeper ones. This is more glossy than anything. Like once you rub this into the skin, it has less pigment, so it almost doesn't matter what shade you get, I think, at least in my opinion, or having tried this one, because it's basically just glossy finish. I think it's super beautiful for what it is. If you're not looking for a true shade or a true base pigment on a highlighter, and if you like something glossy, this does remain glossy but not sticky. There's no tack to it. It's a fully emollient cream formula with no stickiness to it. It's probably not my preferred highlighter, but if you want your face to really glow without adding any pigment, like that's the only one of its kind that I've kind of tried like that. I know they have others on the market, but I think a lot of them are in the potted form. This is like the first one that I've ever tried that's been in like the stick that just gives this like super glossy finish like this. If you're into that, it's actually really nice. Next, I have all of the new releases of the Dreamlight highlighters from Moira Beauty. So I have all the shades here. I have some of my favorite recommendations. So the first one that I'm showing you is in Foxy Pink. This is the most fun pink highlighter, and I think it works for fair skin. So if you want something a little bit different, it's kind of two-toned with like a goldy champagne and pink in there. I think I just named 3 colors, but anyway, I think it's a really fun pink one. Then the next one that I think is just a beautiful yellowy champagne is in Reckless Love. I like this because it's almost like orange leaning, but it's not the most orange in this line. Then the next one that I have is Honeysuckle. I like this one. It's like the most wet looking of all of them. It's not super strong in the base pigment and super thin and beautiful without having base pigment, so it kind of looks wet on the cheeks. I've really enjoyed that one. The next one that I really enjoy is the Love Struck one. That's my favorite peachy one. It's like, again, kind of a peachy pink one. I love it if you're looking for a color like that. And the most icy yellow leaning highlighter is in Dreamlight. Probably meant to be mostly for fair skin, but it has a really strong yellow flip and base to it. So if you like a yellowish highlighter, which I think some people with fair skin do like that, this is tremendous. They have 3 other shades that came in this full set of 8, and I think they're okay. They're not my favorite. The more goldy one is in Gold Frost. It's decent if you're into goldy. I think it's meant for a deeper skin tone. Then they have one that's kind of this baby pink, which is also pretty for fair skin, in Ballerina, but not my favorite. The more pinky one that I showed you first, I prefer that one. And then the one in Starlit is super deep. This is meant for deep skin tones. This I was using as eyeshadow. So I tested every one of these colors to really get an idea of which ones I liked and which ones I could really recommend, especially for fair skin. But this one I think is too dark on me, so I was using it as eyeshadow. Guess what? It's freaking beautiful as eyeshadow. So even if I can't use some of those shades or just don't prefer to on the skin, they're great as eyeshadows because they actually like have some decent base pigment to some of them, especially that deepest one. Now let's talk about this formula. This formula is literally a dupe or an equivalent to the Rare Beauty Silky Touch highlighters. There's not much of a difference. They're super thin, they're super light reflecting, they're dome shaped in the same way, and I almost want to say these are probably less fragile. I hear a lot of people saying the Silky Touch highlighters from Rare Beauty break pretty easily. I have two and they didn't, but a lot of people say they do. I would almost venture to guess this is a much sturdier formula. If you're looking for an affordable rare beauty dupe, you guys, with pretty unique shades, check out these Moira Dreamlight highlighters. Those are a huge recommendation from me. Okay, moving on to blush. This is my largest category. It usually always is. The first ones that I want to talk about are the Sunspark cream blushes from Phytosurgence. The more pinky shade is in Fume. The one that has more of a like purplish base to it is in Condensate. These are freaking beautiful. They're my favorite thing that I've tried from Phytosurgence. They're a whipped kind of consistency, but they're more emollient. They're super opaque, great pigmentation, nice and bouncy. They remain looking like juicy on your cheeks. Fantastic, fantastic formula. Super easy to work with. Highly, highly recommend these. The next product that I have is one of the Nudies Matte with Glow Core from Nude Sticks. This is a cream blush in Rose Glow. This is the one that I am wearing today. I really enjoy this formula. This is a very opaque formula that's really easy to work with. It has just this beautiful glossy finish. Bounces straight onto the cheeks, good pigmentation, blends perfectly, doesn't lift my foundation. Like everything that's good about what this product should be, it does do. So if you're looking for a nice, pretty pigmented, glossy formula that isn't sticky, recommendation from me. Then I have Fenty cream blushes. I actually have 3 shades here. I wanted to test this formula out. I know these have been out a while. They, again, are a repurchase for me. I have had one of these shades in the past. The first one that I have is in Strawberry Drip. The second one I'm showing you is Fuego Flush. And the third one is in Riri. These were not what I was expecting from this formula. I was expecting this to be very pigmented formula, but they're not. They're a more buildable formula. They're kind of more on the sheer side. I think these are a really good formula if you like something more sheer and wanted to get a little bit more daring with some more daring colors, then this is a good formula to try that with. The next one is a cream blush from Merit. This is called the Flush Balm Cheek Color. I have mine in the shade Beverly Hills. Merit has more minimalist beauty, so that's what this is. It's just minimal. It's a very sheer formula that gives a good sheen to the cheeks. It's like a flush of color, like it says, a flush balm. This is also like the highlighter in that it's glossy but not sticky. The thing is with this, obviously the longevity isn't there because of what it is. It doesn't stain your skin. It doesn't sink into the skin. It just kind of sits on top of it and gives you that glossy finish. So it does fade throughout the day. But if you're looking for something very natural and very sheer, then it's a really, really good product. It's just you can't expect a ton of longevity out of it. That's the only thing. So I don't think it's my personal preference. I think that if I want something glossy that has more longevity, the Nude Sticks is better for me personally. But if you're somebody who likes just something that's minimal makeup, then the Merit is really good. The next is a fairly new release from Give Beauty. This is one of her Feeling Cheeky Amplifying Blush Duos, and I have mine in the shade Lasting Love. So one is a fully matte, one is a shimmer formula. I think these are really nice. I think she did a really good job formulating these. They're opaque, they're pigmented, they're long lasting. 2 different finishes in here, which I really like. I think my only criticism of this is that she made the pans inside of the compact so much smaller than the compact when she could have pushed these to the edge to give us a little bit more product. But other than that, the formula is great. I wouldn't say like it's a standard powder formula. It's very creamy, very soft, very easy to apply. It's a pretty straightforward formula. So I thoroughly enjoyed this one. The next are new releases, and they're the counterparts to, woo, almost dropped it, the Revlon Illuminants. These are called the Gel Serum Blushes. I picked up all 4 shades. I'm having a hard time holding them all. I think the range for the line is really good. A mauve shade, a more peachy shade, red, and purple. These are very interesting formula. They seem like they'd be whipped when you first squeeze them out. They're almost putty-like, but when you start blending them in, they turn into a full gel. The thing is though, they're just more than a gel in that they're super lightweight. They're actually like a little bit thicker of a gel formula. They have buildability also. Because some of these shades are pretty vibrant, like the red and the purple, I still think they work for a lighter skin tone because you can shear them out, but definitely easy to build up. But also, they're different than a gel in that like they don't just sit on the skin. These stain me. These stain my cheeks. They have amazing lasting power and they are radiant. So I think they're really complex products. I think they do a lot of things for what they are, and I thoroughly enjoy them. The longest lasting one is the orange one. Don't ask me why. It stains my cheeks, my swatches, everything the most. I have worn all of these shades, and again, I think they're all really good on light skin tones. I can sheer them out, and I don't know, I recommend these. Highly, highly recommend them. The next one that I have is a liquid blush from Beauty Bay. This one is in the shade Peaches. This is a really interesting whipped texture. It's dry. Like, it's on the dry side for what a liquid blush is. It's kind of like a putty formula. It reminds me a lot of the ones from Made by Mitchell, but this is a drier formula. I don't really recommend this product because it's so dry. I think it's super easy to work with, and it dries down to like a matte finish. And as far as like a liquid product goes, I don't mind like a liquid to powder or a cream to powder formula. The problem is it's so dry, it looks very flat on the cheeks. And I have so many other ones that are like a liquid to powder or a cream to powder formula. I just don't care to really reach for this one because it looks so flat on my cheeks. So that one is just a pass. I think you guys can skip it. The next ones that I have are the new blushes from M Cosmetics. These are called the Pillow Plush Blushes. I have two shades. The one that is more purple leaning is in Tickled, and the more mauve shade is in Peanut. These are both of the shades that launched. This is a putty formula. It's cream to powder. It is extremely thin and lightweight. It's also a buildable formula. It's not immensely opaque when you first apply it, so I really enjoy that, but it's also a very long-lasting formula and looks airbrushing on the skin. Just because of the formula that it is, it just ends up looking so smooth and diffused and beautiful. So I highly recommend these. I'm just a fan of pretty much everything she releases aside from the eyeshadows. I don't think those blew my mind. I think these were beautiful and ticked all the boxes. The next ones that I have are, they were new releases when I picked them up a couple months ago. These are the Sun Flushed Liquid Blushers from BH Cosmetics. These remind me a lot of the Revlon Illuminance gel blushes. These start out as like a whipped consistency, but then when you rub them in, they're more like a gel formula. I like these better, I want to say, than the Revlon ones in a way because they're more opaque. They're not as sheer, but they're the same type of bouncy, glossy finish. I think I like these a little bit better because they're more opaque, and that's kind of my thing mostly. But again, very similar. These are more affordable than the ones from Revlon. So if I'm gonna recommend any to you, it would probably be these ones. Now moving on to eye products. I have two that were a limited edition holiday release from Kulfi. I wanna say these were new shades. They do have the regular eyeliners in their line, but this came as a set, which is Nazar No More is the black shade, and then Jamoon Glaze is the bronzy shimmer shade. Again, came as a set, limited edition, still available for purchase as a duo set like this. These are fine. They're their Underall Kajal eyeliners. These are meant to be waterproof eyeliners, but they're not. These budge on me, they fade on me. They're not fully waterproof. They don't set down very well. They're fine to smudge out. That's what I like about these, but they're not fully waterproof. So if you're looking for something fully waterproof, which I really try and find ones so that I can tightline with, these aren't them. They're not. They're nice and creamy for smudging, but that's it. The next one, same thing. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 16-Hour Wear Never Fail Eyeliner. It's in the shade Black Brown. This one I don't believe is waterproof. It has a smudger on one end. This is meant to be smudged out. It's fine for smudging out. This one lasts longer than the Kulfi ones. I didn't find it like a remarkable formula. It's not something that I would use in the waterline. The next two I have been using as eyeliner, but I purchased them as a set with others that I'm using as like lip liners. These are also a holiday release from Makeup Forever. It's their artist color pencils, and it came with 5. These are probably the only non-retractable liners that I would use because these are super creamy, very opaque, beautiful liners. They're just not waterproof at all. I don't know if these claim to be, but they're not. So these again are good for smudging out, but they are not good for the waterline. They are just so creamy. I don't mind a sharpenable pencil when that is typically not my style. So highly recommend the formula for smudging from Makeup Forever. And I think these minis are really nice. And this holiday set still appears to be available right now on their website. So I would say if you wanted to try the Artist Color pencils from Makeup Forever, like that's the way to do it. Moving on to mascaras, I have one from Gen C, their Spectator Sport Mascara. No, not a fan of this. The wand is humongous. I can never get close to my lash line, so it doesn't really deposit a ton of pigment. It's on the drier side. I make a mess every time I try and apply this. I think this won Allure Best of Beauty, and I think it gets good reviews. I am not a fan of this. I will be decluttering this. I like something that I can like get close to my lash line with without making a mess. I don't know how anybody finds this a workable wand. That's just my personal opinion. And the formula, quite honestly, it's not like overly pigmented for me, and I prefer something pretty pigmented, so no thank you. The next one is from Merit. This is their Clean Lash. It's got this natural bristled wand. It would seem like it was almost meant for volumizing, but it's not. It just gives extremely clean, very minimal length. Of course, that's what it's intended to do. So it's good for what it's intended to do. It's just not as impactful for me. This is a buildable formula, but it builds to here. Like it won't build any higher than it's meant to build. It will not build on itself any more than that. So you get a very, very minimal clean lash. If you're looking for something that's like that, this is really good. This reminds me of the one mascara from Glossier, just on the lighter side, not a ton of pigmentation. It's not my personal preference, so I won't be keeping it. And then I tested the Telescopic Lift Mascara in the waterproof version from L'Oreal recently. This is good. I mean, the wand is a little bit scary. It definitely hurts when you nick yourself. It's got like one flat side to it. Comb through with one side, lay pigment with the other. I like the length that it gives. I actually think it's a pretty decent mascara. It dries really quickly though, so I don't get a lot of time to like build it up, but it's buildable in a sense. It's also extremely waterproof. So if you're looking for an extremely waterproof mascara, this is definitely one to check out. This one is almost so waterproof that even my waterproof makeup remover has trouble getting it off at night. I usually have to go in with like a cleansing balm and really get at it. And I almost find that it like stains my lashes black. It's just really pigmented in that way. That formula is almost a staining formula. So if you're into that, it's good. It's not volumizing. I think it just gives pretty decent length. I think mascara is personal to a lot of people. So I'm not gonna say purchase or pass unless I think it like actually isn't good. I think take it or leave it on those. But I will say one that became my absolute holy grail, and I wasn't expecting it, was the Levitation Lash from Ritual Defee. This is not typically a wand that I go for in the type that it is. Natural, but short bristled wand. So if you guys ever hear me talk about mascaras, I talk about the plastic short bristled being my favorite, but this is natural bristled, which I usually stay away from, but I like it because the bristles are so short. But this is just a remarkable formula in and of itself. It's that kind of formula that you can build on itself. It's really pigmented. It's easy to apply, like a nice comfortable wand. I think it gives me wispy lashes, but I think it gives me volume. It's everything I want in a mascara. If you guys are into testing out new mascaras, you guys, this one has quickly become one of my holy grails. So huge recommendation from me. And now moving on into lips and the final category here, I have 3 more shades from the Makeup Forever kit. These are what I use as lip liners. So the 3 other shades that came in this set were Anywhere Caffeine, that is really popular, Limitless Brown, and then Wherever Walnut. So I've always wanted to try Anywhere Caffeine because I hear a lot of people talking about it. So it was nice to be able to test it in this set and get some other colors as well, because Anywhere Caffeine is usually sold out. Again, nice to kind of get like a limited edition set. I think this is, again, just a really good formula. Not waterproof, not overly long lasting, but it's really creamy. And again, if I'm gonna go for a sharpenable pencil, this is the kind of formula that I would reach for in that. I think I was expecting these to be longer lasting, and they're not, but they're still very comfortable. So yeah, I kind of recommend like getting that set. These are currently on sale on their website right now. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but I would say if they're still on sale when this video goes up, you guys should definitely like check these out if you're interested in testing this formula and haven't tested it before. The next is a product from Merit. This is one of their tinted lip oils. This one is in the shade Pink Beat. I've had the tinted Gelée lip oil in my collection. Not a huge fan of that. Pretty thin formula, no color payoff in the shade that I have, and it doesn't last very long. I prefer this one a lot more. I think this is extremely comfortable and thin formula. The color payoff is really nice. There's just something about this formula when it has more opacity and tint behind it than the Gelée, in my personal opinion. So I do recommend this. I think this is a good product. I have been enjoying this. I like the shade in Pink Beet. I think it's a delicious, delightful formula. And then I picked up one of the L'Oreal Infallible Intense Volume Matte in Le Mauve, shade 482. It's a fully matte formula, but it had a coating on it. So the very first time I tried it, which was on camera, it came out like the satin finish. And then the next time I tried it, I was like, wait, this is an extremely matte formula like it says. So it had like a top coat that ended up coming off. As far as intense, pigmented, opaque matte formulas go that aren't super drying, this is a good one. I don't keep a ton of matte formulas in my collection because I don't find that I can wear them on their own. This is a formula I can recommend wearing on its own, and this shade also is super beautiful. And usually L'Oreal comes with a lot of like floral fragrance in their lip products, at least in their bullets anyway. This one doesn't have that, so if you're looking for a matte formula from the drugstore, that's a good one. And then I purchased 3 shades of the lip oils from e.l.f. I have not even like tried these on my channel, but I have been testing them privately. I bought them, I want to say on launch day, so I've had them a while. I have 3 shades here. The first one is in the shade Rose Envy, most tinted of the 3. The deeper like berry one is in Jam Session. I like this one. It's more sheer, so it's not like intimidating for a light skin tone. And then I have a pretty sheer one in Pink Quartz. My favorite is Rose Envy. I think it's the most flattering, the most with pigment in it, but I have been keeping the one in Jam Session in my car. I think it's beautiful. It's not too pigmented, that it's not like something you can't throw on with basically any eye look. I think these are tremendous releases from e.l.f. I feel like these are going to be some of my favorite releases in terms of lip oils for 2023 because I like the shade range in these. Also because I think that the formula is actually what I think of when I think of a lip oil. They're very glossy. I wouldn't say they're the thinnest lip oil. They're kind of on the thicker side, but they're not like overly sticky, and I like that. I feel like a lot of the lip oils that I've been trying are more like glosses lately, like the ones from NYX, Moira Beauty, even the next one that I'm about to talk about. I just feel like these are non-sticky the way a lip oil should be. So anyway, love the shade range, love the formula. These are some of my favorite lip oils launched this year. The next one that I have is a lip oil from In Beauty Project. This is the Glaze lip oil, and I think it's number 1, but this is in Candy Apple. I really like the high shine, the red. My favorite thing about this is how strong the Candy Apple scent is. It's fun. The thing is though, it's such a thick formula for a lip oil that I feel like it kind of balls up in the center of my mouth, and I don't like that. So less is more with this. Not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but I do think it's on the thicker side. So I don't know, take that for what it is. The next ones that I have are a release from LA Girl, again from their Euphoria collection. These were their holographic lip glosses. I have the whole set, so it came with 3 different shades. The more pinky shade is in Enchanted. The one that's clear-ish is Dreamlike, and the very, very light pink is in Wonder. I'm really into holographic lip glosses at the current moment, but I would have to say, I don't love the way that these shift. I find the one in Dreamlike shifts a little bit too green almost on the lips. The one in Wonder is my favorite because it's almost clear. I think the pinky one looks too purple on the lips. What LA Girl does with their formulas for all of their lip products is they're so thin. These are like glosses that could be balms, that could be lip oils. They're just really thin, and I like that about them. These are sticky like a lip gloss, so they have that like longevity about them. But yeah, Wonder is my favorite. The other 2 I don't really love. You can't get these by themselves, so you have to buy these as a set. So for that, I don't recommend them. There's other ones on the market that are good. I clearly have used this one more than these 2, but I'm gonna give these 2 to my daughter and then hold on to this one. Another exceptional formula, in my opinion, are the legendary lipsticks from RMS Beauty. I have mine in the shade Angela. I've seen terrible reviews for these, and I think they are fantastic. They're opaque, but they're more like a satin finish, so they're not like a fully intense looking lipstick. They have this coolness about them. They're They're almost like a water formula where they're cold going on. They have a decent shine to them. The pigmentation is still there though, even though it's not like massively intense. Really long lasting formula. I freaking loved these. I have been going back and forth with picking up another shade. I just don't know which one I would get. I really love this one, and I feel like there's maybe one other one that I want to try. It's just that I love the formula so much I want more shades in this. It's the kind that like twists up, by the way, at the bottom there. So whatever those bad reviews are, like where they were coming from, I can't remember what site I saw them on. I want to say it was like Amazon or something, because these are sold on Amazon. I was like, what in the world are they talking about? This is one of my favorite formulas from this year. So I highly recommend this. I don't believe anything those people say on the Amazon reviews. Another beautiful formula is the satin lipstick from Kulfi. This is on the sheer side, but it's super high shine, very, very comfortable. This actually will stain my lips. So once the gloss goes away and this starts to fade, the stain is left. I love these. I think this is beautiful if you like a sheer formula that still has color to it, but that leaves a stain behind. These are awesome from Kulfi. The very final product for today is the holographic lip gloss that came as a holiday release for Fenty Beauty. This one is the Gloss Bomb Crystal in Hologram. I just got done telling you guys I'm really into holographic lip products right now, but this was no good. For whatever reason, this is like a goopier formula than a lot of her other ones. I didn't like how thick it was. It seemed to like pill up on my lips more so than her other gloss bombs. Don't know why this seems to be formulated different, but also it looks pinkish, bluish, purple. Like in the tube, it comes out like this fully peach color. It's almost like orange when it goes to the lips. Not a fan of the formula, not a fan of the shade. So that's a pass from me. That is the end of the video, you guys. I am sure this is on the longer side, but I hope you guys enjoyed and I hope you guys are sticking in there till the end. I'm out of here for today, you guys, and I hope to catch you all in my next video.